yo, smoking with Tutso. On my right, I got my man. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm MagicMan of Manchester. How you guys doing?
Shit. I have to. You gotta show the people some of these magic tricks. We was just talking off camera. He keeps amazing me with every fucking trick. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I gotta show him something.
Absolutely. Let me see if I can do this trick right here. Or hold on. I wonder if this will pick up. See that? Or you can do one. I think you can do one like this if they can see it, where you can take the card. You just give it a rub.
Got 7.
And it'll change it to an ace. Or you can take that ace, put it in the middle of the deck, and you locate it by popping it right up.
You gotta be kidding me.
It's the weirdest thing ever, but it's actually not the ace. See, it's not the ace at all. It's just a 9. It's the weirdest thing. Oh, I drop it. It happens all the time.
That's okay. That's okay.
All the time.
Shit. So do you be like inventing your own tricks, or
yeah?
How'd you learn to do all this? What got you into it? What was the moment you would like? Damn, let me
so
do this.
here's the story. So when I was 8 years old, I found out who my real father was. My mom told me. So I'd grown up with a guy in the house who was my stepfather, who I believed was my real father. And one day, she told me, showed me a picture of the dude, and he was wearing a jumpsuit. He was a prisoner. So we went to go see him because I was in Atlanta, Georgia. So my grandmother flew out to come get me and bring me to Manchester. And he was in the Concord Men's Prison. So I sat down with him. We talked, and I got to get to know him a little bit. And he showed me magic tricks. He showed me a card trick where he had me pick a card and then, find the card after. And then he would take coins and he'd push them through the table. And mind you, he's in prison, so he doesn't have the gadgets and gizmos that, we have today. And he was still able to create miracles with nothing. So it was really cool.
Can you replicate that trick?
Yeah, so there's the trick. I'll have you pick a card. Okay. I'm going to make it more dramatic because when he did it, it was, you can show the camera if you want.
Can you get a little table? The little small one? All right, so I got a 9 of hearts, if y'all can see it.
All right, so tell me when to stop.
Stop.
And you'd put it there.
Okay.
And then I would show you again, and you guys would see it again. And then he would go in and he would say,
Like this? Yeah, that's perfect, right? That work?
Yes. And then he would say, okay, boom, that was your card, the nine of hearts. And how he would do that is he would use a key card. He told me how to do this after. So he'd have you pick a card, whatever card it is, right? And then he'd have you, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
So he'd take a peek at this card. He would put your card here, and boom. Now I would look for the 4 of diamonds, and your card would be right next to it. And so, that trick, but imagine you're 8 years old. I mean, it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. So it was,
Who were some of your inspirations other than, like, that incident? Because
for
me, like, I got into magic when I was young watching Chris Angel back in the day.
So what kept me going, what fed it, was David Blaine. So David Blaine had a special, I don't know if you guys remember, of him just doing street magic. Before he was doing the bullet catches between his teeth, all this stuff, he was on the street, just like how I started doing it. And that's really what kept me enthralled in magic was you could tell that he was loving it. He was doing impossible things on the streets. I mean, he wasn't having ladies, he wasn't sawing anybody's hat. He was creating these amazing magical moments with like biting out a quarter and spitting it back out.
Right.
And so it was cool.
He was the first one to really like start doing the street stuff, right?
Yeah, he was really the one to like popularize it. Because street magic has always been a thing. I mean, even dating back to ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, they were doing street magic and tabletop magic. I think that David Blaine had made it very popular. So it was. Really cool.
Like it even echoes today. You see all the shorts on TikTok. Like I even see the stuff that you be doing. Like do you just be popping out and just doing whatever, just on the street? Everybody popping out with a camera.
I love doing it. So how that works when I go out in the street is I usually have my friend. Her name's Ariana. She'll videotape it. I call her my woman in action because she'll be the one that will be like circling around and getting all the action. And I go on Elm Street. And I used to perform every Friday and Saturday night. And how that started out too was I had to pay bills as well. So once I knew that I could make money off of Elm Street, I ended up using that to be like, okay, well, I don't have a job right now, so I have to pay my phone bill, and my phone bill is about $40-50. So I gotta busk. I gotta make sure that I can make those $50. And drunk people on Elm Street, you know, they'll think that they're handing you a 10 and they're handing you a 20, you know, or they'll think they're handing you a 5 and they'll hand you like 100. So it was kind of like cool to see that, and it gets very dangerous out there, but I learned how to navigate because there are drunk people that are so excited that I've had people grab me, hold me, and have people circle and lock me.
That's crazy.
And I know that how to get out of those situations because they can get very dangerous, not because the person means any harm, but because they're so excited, they're so drunk, and they're not in control. Right. So they could whip me around or stuff like that. So I kind of let them grab me. I let them have that, and then I kind of weasel out of it and start doing tricks that are further away. So.
Hey, and I've always said intelligence is how well you adapt to a situation. It don't got nothing to do with no test scores, none of that bullshit.
Nope.
Fucking. So we was talking off camera. You said you went to some type of an academy of some sorts to study magic.
Yeah. So I'm a member of the Academy of the Magical Arts at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, California. Okay. How I got into that was so I've been studying the castle for 2 years. Now, it actually started out as a joke. A lot of people were like, did you go to magic school? And I was like, no, because, you know, they wanted to make that joke. But then I was like, is there a magic school? Like, is there an actual thing for that? So I looked it up, and of course, Harry Potter came up. I don't know if you guys ever seen the Magicians show. That school came up, and I almost gave up. And I saw the Academy of the Magical Arts, and I was like, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, it's not a thing. But I clicked on it, and it was legit. It was real. The whole website, the whole place, there was a castle in Hollywood for it. So I got obsessed, and I started studying for 2 years. And 2 years ago, I tried to apply, but they weren't accepting people who were local members. So they, for the first time ever in history, I made history at the Magic Castle. I am in the non-residential junior program at the Magic Castle, which was just created this year. Okay. So it allows you to be from anywhere in the world and still be a member, and you're expected to at least be in one meeting in person once a year. Before, it was every month. Okay. You had to go to a meeting in person every single month. And that's not really in the card. It wasn't in the cards for me. I didn't have the money to be traveling from Manchester to Cali every month. So it was really good to be able to. So the process is you sign up for it, and then I had to do an audition. So I auditioned for it, and it was so scary. The CEO, the woman who created the junior program, was there. Gabriella Lester, who I've really respected, and she's made a huge impact in the magic community. I believe she's like 19. She was on Penn and Teller Fool Us. Okay. She's, you know, her career has really blown up. She's this awesome, she's an awesome Canadian magician. Yeah, Gabriella Lester, you're amazing. But she was on the call too, which I had no idea, and I was shaking. And I did a routine where I, you know, took the cards out and, you know, had them pick it through the screen. You know, I had them tell me when to stop, and then I put it in the deck, and then their card would change to a different color.
Oh, that's
and I would
sick.
prove that it was their card, and then after, what I would do is I would show that the card was blank, so there was no way that it could have been their card, and then I would change their card back to the color of the deck. And I was shaking the entire time. I felt like I was shaking, but I guess physically I wasn't, because I did everything I was supposed to do. And I remember it was April 1st, and I had a gig. So after that, I had to run and go to the gig. I went on tour that entire week. So I had a gig April 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, which usually doesn't happen for me. But I had it the entire beginning of April. And I remember April 2nd, I got the email of the confirmation.
How were you feeling?
And I was scared. I didn't actually read it. I gave it to my friend who was next to me, and I said, I need you to go away from me. I need you to read it, and I just need you to not say anything. And she came out of the room. She was like distraught. Like I had, like it said no. And I was so, like, my heart was broken, because they even said, like, oh, if you don't make it in, like, it doesn't mean that you're a bad magician. It just means you need to practice. I've been doing this for over 10 years. If I can't get into the Magic Castle with my first try, I do suck, and I need to rethink my life. And I didn't want to have to rethink my life. Right. So it was a very scary moment for me, and I remember her being like, changing her face and laughing and being like, oh, you made it in. And I'm not a big person to cry. I'm really not. I'm not a big crier, but I bawled my eyes out, because it meant so much more to me than, like, the Academy of the Magical Arts is the Harvard of magic.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, you're like being respected in the same sentence as David Blaine and, you know, David Copperfield and all these people. So to be able to be a part of that, and being a small town magician, because there were nights I doubted myself. There were nights where I was saying, like, you know, am I going to go far? Like, this is great. I'm doing great in my career, but is it ever going to go further than that? And there were nights where I was doubting and being like, I don't know if I will ever be more than what I am right now. And that proved me wrong. You know, that proved that I could be more than what I am. It was a very powerful moment for me.
That's an impressive story.
Thank you.
It sounds like you've had a hell of a journey. It sounds like you traveled to a lot of different places. What's some of your favorite aspects of traveling? Like when you went on the West Coast, what was your favorite shit that you seen out there?
Oh my gosh. So I absolutely love my job because of the traveling and the people that I get to meet. And one of the places, of course, when I went to California to meet people at the Magic Castle, I met Adam Wiley, who's actually a magician and an actor. Okay. He was in Children of the Corn, if you ever heard of that.
For real?
He's a
like
Smurf.
The original one?
Yes. Yeah.
Damn.
He was a Smurf as well. He voiced, I want to say, I can't tell you which Smurf, but I'll have to look it up. He was in one of the episodes of the Boondocks.
Oh, that's sick.
So yeah, he's really cool, and he's so animated. He's bigger than life, this guy. And I've talked to him, like I've had connections with him. I talked to him for months now before actually going to Cali, and I told him that I was going to be at Cali. And he was like, "Oh, I'll meet you at the Magic Castle." And when you get to the Magic Castle, the moment you step on the premise to the moment you leave, it's magical. You don't get a break. And so I actually forgot that I was going to be meeting him because the things that I was witnessing and seeing, and I'm telling you, at the Magic Castle, you're not going to see anything, like, you can't see anything less than crazy there. I mean, there's a piano there. So there was a woman there, her name was Irma. She passed away years ago. And she used to be the, like, musician there. And so she used to play the piano. After she passed away, she didn't stop. So yeah, and that was a rumor. I had heard that there was a piano that played on its own and all that stuff, and then when I went to the castle, they actually have a room dedicated to Irma. You go in there, you say, "Hey Irma, can you play this?" The keys will start going.
For real?
Yep.
Always?
I've seen it, yep.
On command?
And she never fails. So you're allowed to challenge her. You can ask her any song from any time period, and she can play it. And while I was there was a kid who, you know, those kids that are like bratty. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I bet you she can't play this." And I guess he had said, I don't know what the name is, but he had said a name, and I guess no human can play it. It's a song that no human can play. And he tried to stump her, and there was a moment of silence, as almost if he did stump her, and she started playing it. Oh, and I said to him, well, she's not human, so she can play it. And it was amazing. And my grandmother, who had went with me on this trip, she spent 30 minutes with Irma. They got really close. So Irma was amazing. And then you have picture frames that watch you. I mean, you can see them currently watching you go from one place to the next.
So this is like real life Hogwarts.
Yes, no, it really is. So yeah, so I want people to know that Hogwarts is great and all, but imagine it in real life. There is a place.
That's amazing.
And it's a real place, and I think it's been around longer than Hogwarts has actually been around.
Really?
Yeah, I want to say it's been around. They just had their 60th anniversary.
Damn.
So, yeah. So I don't think Harry Potter's been around for that long.
Do you know like why it was founded or who founded it?
Yeah. So our founder just passed away, Milt Larson. Yeah, he was. I owe everything to him because he created a home for magicians. That is my home. You know, I'm here. I feel like I'm visiting here. Ever since I went there, I realized that that's my home. He made a home for magicians, and even Johnny Carson is a member of the Magic Castle.
Oh, that's cool.
Pee Wee Herman, who just passed away, I found out he was a member of the Magic Castle.
Really?
Yeah. So there's so many people that are members. Neil Patrick Harris was a president of the Magic Castle at one point, and he's also still a member and an avid advocate for the magic community. There's so many different members, but yeah, Milt Larson's amazing. He founded it. I think the story was that it was like this old thing that was actually going to be torn down. And Milt Larson, I guess, he looked out the window and he saw it, and it called to him. It called out to him. And so he went over there, and I guess Milt Larson, the castle called out to him, and I guess he went over there, checked everything out, he bought it. And he turned it into the most famous and prestigious magic club in the entire world. I mean, there isn't a Magic Castle chain. It's just one Magic Castle in the entire world.
That's what's up.
It's amazing. It's been home to millions, if not trillions, gazillions of magicians. Most magicians that you hear of today are a member of the Magic Castle.
So when you're performing like on stage, what are some of the things that you have to be like super conscious of?
So stage magic, which is not really my thing. I like to do up close magic, but I am starting to branch out to do stage. But stage would always be angles. It would always be angles. When you go to a magic show, especially in a theater created by a magician, don't ever think you're going to get one up on the magician, because your seats are designed so you can't see anything. What I do, I don't want to say is harder, because I think there's so many different pros and cons to each one, but I'm going into your territory. I do walk around street magic like David Blaine, so all my 360s I got eyes on. So all my tricks, they can't be angled. They all have to be, and if they are angled, I have to be able to control their eyes and control their perception. So the hardest thing I'd have to say is controlling and maintaining the audience's perception. How do you control like 20 eyes that don't belong to you? Well, you learn that as a magician. You learn how to manipulate everyone's perception, so that even though, Sarah, Jonathan, Josie, Bob, who's watching you, they all have separate lives. They all have different mindsets and everything, but they all can agree on one thing in that one moment where their eyes are looking. So it's really amazing to have that skill and that I guess that power to manipulate reality and have everybody see the reality that you want them to see.
I could see the advantage of that, because like if everybody's looking at one direction, you can make the tricks a lot more grand in nature. I could see why like so many like crazy tricks have been done on stage versus like instead of the street, because like I can see how thinking from a 360 angle, I see where you're coming from. I feel what you're saying. That's very interesting. I never thought of it from that perspective.
So fun.
Shit. So what else? I peeped the little Scarface shirt. I peeped your little tattoo. Like, what is the inspiration behind the tattoo, and how, like, when did you discover Scarface? Because that's one of my favorite movies too. I fuck that shit heavy.
So it's so funny because I love Easter eggs. I'm a huge Easter egg person. So on my person, you'll always find like this New York hat.
Okay.
I lived in New York for like a week, right? Top. So what does this mean? Why am I wearing a New York hat? It's because Tannen's Magic Shop, which is the oldest magic shop in New York City, right? I mean, sorry, not even in New York City, in the U.S. Tannen's Magic Shop is like a place where David Blaine and David Copperfield, they'll still go to shop there. And I've gone there multiple times, and I love New York because of that shop. So I rep the New York.
Okay.
And then this is Ancient Egypt. I love Ancient Egypt. I love the pharaohs and things like that. Let me turn this off. I love all of that stuff. And what's it called? And it's just amazing. And then I love the knowledge. And then Scarface, I love Scarface. I grew up with Scarface, actually. One of my favorite scenes, I'd have to say, and it's not the one that everybody's thinking of. Say hello to my little friend. It was actually what happened after. He soloed. I mean, if any of you have watched the movie, he soloed like what, like
so
100 people.
He was off,
and he got shot. He was like, God, he's like still going. And the reason why I love that is his resilience. Like, yes, he was a gangster. Yes, he was a criminal. Things like that. But his resilience was what really, you know what I mean? Like, how are you getting attacked by all these people? He was like, you're not going to mess with me. Like, you're not going to do it. You're not. I don't give a... Like, he got shot, and he's like, that's a flesh wound. I'm going. You know what I mean?
It was so poetic for his character.
It was. And I loved that about him. I just loved the resilience. And I, like I said, I grew up with Scarface, so that's why I have this shirt on. I never usually put things on that don't mean anything to me. And it's funny because people will look at it and be like, oh, that's just, this, but they don't know the hidden meaning. And I love it because I know it, and I think it's cool that I'm wearing an Easter egg.
Okay, you did you know that there was actually another Scarface movie before that one, and it was about an Italian mobster instead of a Cuban.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's shittier. Oh. It's really not worth your time, but
okay.
It's a very different like perspective. It plays with the same like themes, but almost like dumbed down because it came before and shit.
Oh wow!
And there was also the other trivia I got because I fucking love that movie too. Is there was a PlayStation 2 game that actually continued the story if Tony survived that scene, and basically he would start from the ground up from his empire because he would start from ground zero since his whole mansion got fucked up and shit. So that's also interesting. I fuck with that shit too.
I definitely I didn't even know that. That's amazing to I love little stuff like that too because I like to learn. I think one thing is I tell my siblings this. I say, you know, when you learn, that's what you're here to do in life. You're here to learn. And when you can't learn anything anymore, you still learn because it's not possible.
That literally sounds like Egyptian like theology. Have you ever studied it? Like,
I have not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am a fan of ancient Egypt. Just the things that I hear and the things that I see, like their style and their mummification, and even their coffin. I mean, I would love to be buried in a coffin like that. Like that. It'd be a little heavy, but you know, like stuff like that. I like their mythology too. Their mythology is very important. I used to have an Anubis ring that I would wear around, and I used to do like, you know, tricks involving death. And I think death is, we're so scared of it sometimes. But I think death is also beautiful because nothing is beautiful, right? I mean, nothing's beautiful because it lasts. Right? I mean, think of it that way. Like a real red rose versus a fake one, the real one's always going to be more beautiful because it can actually rot and die, and we appreciate it more. So when we know that there's an end, we appreciate the beginning a lot better, and I think that's why death isn't as bad. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing. It can be scary, but if you look at it as an end rather than just being like, okay, well, you know, time's up, but you've had the time to enjoy something so beautiful, and now it's over. So.
Yo, I gotta put you onto this book. Yo, Dev, you got that that little image of that book that I sent you, the by Muda Albi, the Kemetic Tree of Knowledge. Yeah, you got that on your phone. You can pull that up. I gotta put you onto that book because a lot of the shit that you're saying it resonates within that shit. But yeah, this one right here, you gotta read that, bro. I'm telling you, it'll put you on to all types of shit. It really delves into the theology behind the Egyptian gods because like a lot of people don't know that it stems from African philosophy. Okay. So that's what came first. And so they took a lot of African philosophy and applied it to an overarching story. Like the gods, there was 9 of them to start off in Anu. And basically it was a story of how the human soul transcends and goes throughout and lives its life, kind of like how you're describing. And you start off as like, your soul starts off as a child, and it eventually transcends to once you become more like spiritually conscious of everything around you as you grow into a man or a woman or into whatever. So it's a good book. I'm gonna have to put you on that shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read it. I love it.
It gives you a different perspective, especially like on Anubis and like Set and all that. Interesting shit. Like Set's supposed to represent the human ego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all types of interesting shit.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear it.
But shit. So, where else have you traveled?
So, I wish I could say like I've been all over the world. But I've even just certain places in New Hampshire. Like I didn't know there was a Bosquen, New Hampshire. I didn't know there was other things. I traveled to Bosquen to do a gig. And I'm not. My thing is I do magic for any occasion. So I think it was in Bosquen or some other place in New Hampshire. There was like this cafe, but also they were doing like drag show night that night. And I've never been to a drag show. I don't know. But I was working alongside someone that was called Misery, who was a drag queen. And so when she was on, there would be songs playing, and then they would do like inappropriate stuff and mess with people. And then after she would go, because she had to change to different costumes, I was the one that would go table to table and perform while she was changing to her next costume. And then her worker would like tap me on the shoulder. I knew that was like 5 minutes, and then we'd switch, and we would do that all day. And so that was a really interesting one. And then when I was in New York, the first time I ever performed in Times Square, the first time I ever had been to New York since I lived there, because when I lived there, I didn't really remember it.
Right.
But I'd been there for the first time, we'll say, and I performed in Times Square, and I used that to buy my first ring, and it was really cool. And I didn't get the ring that was on the corner. I went into a store and bought it.
That's what's up.
But it was amazing, and it was really cool. And then I've performed. I was in Concord, and I got to perform for the governor of New Hampshire. Yeah, I think it's Chris Sununu.
Yeah.
And I performed for the mayor. I got to go to Maine. That was more of a vacation recently. I went to I don't think it was Kittery, but it was like on this island with like millionaires kind of. Yeah. They like all had these like really nice places. They all had their own boats, their own docks, stuff like that. And I went to a friend's aunt and uncle's house, and we just stayed there for a day. And I was like, this is what I need, because I don't take I don't take vacations. Usually my friends are like, "Oh, let's go on a vacation. Let's go do this." I'm like, "All right, let's go," and I use it as a marketing opportunity.
Yeah.
So they're probably usually kind of annoyed with me because they're like, "Come on, like I wanted you to just lay down, or I wanted you to like go swimming or whatever."
That's good. Don't travel anywhere you don't belong. So like make it somewhere that you should belong.
Exactly. I agree. Even when we go out to the mall, like I'm there to work. I'm there to. I never got to work, so I never got to really take a vacation. But this main trip, I actually didn't bring any business cards. I brought a deck of cards just in case, and I did do a little bit of performing. But it was the first time in over 10 years I actually did a vacation, so it was fun. I want to do a little vacation, half and half, but I want to go to New York City, visit the tannin shop, perform a little bit, and then also walk around, chillax. 'Cause I love New York. I would never live there.
There's so much to do. You can literally just walk around the block and be fucking good for the day. That's one day.
Yes, it's a whole trip.
Shit. So, what do you have upcoming in terms of like shows and whatnot?
Yes, so I actually have my first wedding. My friend, his father's having a wedding, so it's the first wedding I've ever performed at, ever been invited to as well. And the Chocolate Expo, October 15th at the Radisson's. They call it the Doubletree now, but I grew up with it being the Radisson's Hotel. The Chocolate Expo, I think that's traveled all around the world. They ended up hiring me to do this event. They actually chose me over an AGT magician.
Oh, that's
so
sick.
I'm very excited for that. I got to meet with a woman. I performed some chocolate tricks. I made like chocolate coins appear out of thin air and then gave it to her, and then took like there was this big and I made it appear, just like a huge one, and I ended up splitting it in half, and it was like 2 different ones, and I gave that to her. So I did some like crazy chocolate tricks to prove that I could do it, and then I got hired on. And if they like me, what they're gonna do is they're gonna hire me to go on tour with them in Boston.
Hold on one second. Yo, camera.
No matter how long you've been doing magic, you're always gonna drop cards because of gravity. Like,
I noticed that, and like I'm always like one, like I drop the deck, I'm like, oh, I just fucked up everything. But like I see you're so nonchalant about it. Like, oh, fuck.
It happens. Like,
start again.
I'll drop the cards when I'm like out on Elm Street, and a guy will walk past me like, "Oh, it looks like you need to practice more." And I was like, "You haven't even seen me." You haven't even, like that just determines apparently to like.
Is that back on?
Apparently, to normal people, it signifies that you suck at magic, but it's not true. I've even seen the greats drop them. It's just it happens. But yeah, so I'm doing. As I'm talking about dropping them, maybe I should stop talking about dropping them. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be doing, and if they like me, they're gonna take me to Boston for 2 days. They're gonna put me up into a hotel, and I'm gonna do it for 2 days for them. And I just added motivational speaking to my roster of things. So my MagicMan Entertainment, that's my business. I added master classes, so I'm going to start teaching people how to do the things that I do. And also motivational speaking, because there's a lot of youth out there who need it. I think that, one, we're young, and I don't care what anybody says, we're scared. We're all scared because we don't know what's in front of us, and we know that we have a decent amount of years, and we don't know what can go wrong in those years. We don't know like how we're gonna get to where we want to go in between those years. So it's a horrifying thing, and I think that if we realize that and turn to the people who can really help us do that, I think it's really important. And I want to be that voice for youth. And I've been torn down on Facebook and things like that because I'm very what's it called? I'm very like truthful and very like raw, I should say. I'm always truthful, but I think raw on Facebook, but on my other social medias, like you got to be careful because you know what it is being like canceled. Like I get so afraid of being canceled and things like that.
Because I'll be blunt about a lot of shit.
Yeah, so that's why on Facebook it's under Deshaun Green, like it's under my personal name, so that like maybe they can cancel me, but hopefully MagicMan they'll leave alone, because we are actually 2 different people. Obviously we share the same vessel, but right. I think that I like how you put that. I turn it on, I turn it off, and like when I'm in my room at home. In my room just practicing magic, I'm Deshaun. I'm studying, I'm doing stuff, on the phone with my friends, hanging out with my family, I'm Deshaun. But as soon as I walk out into the public, I'm MagicMan. And I think I actually spend less time being me and more time being MagicMan because I can't change the fact that, like, when I walk down the street, people don't yell out, Deshaun! Like, oh my God, they yell out MagicMan.
Exactly.
So you know, just today I was getting this outfit. I was at a store and I was really trying to be incognito. I really was. I was wearing sunglasses. I was doing the whole thing. Yeah. I was wearing like clothes that like, you know, because I like to wear bright stuff like this. I wasn't wearing that. And she goes, "Are you who I think you are?" And I said, "Who do you think I am?" And she goes, "You're the guy, the Manchester. You're the MagicMan Manchester." And I said, yes, I am. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, like I follow you," and stuff like that. And so, you know, I love that because I love that they love my work, and I thanked her for being a follower of mine. I showed them a few tricks, and she brought her coworkers, and they were all excited. But it was just, it was amazing, and I love those interactions because it means that they love what I'm doing, you know, and I love that, you know.
Yo, Dev. Yo, so what keeps you motivated? Is there like a light at the very end of the tunnel? Like what keeps you motivated as a motivational speaker?
Yeah.
Like,
so
what yeah.
Everybody, everybody, all the people. I don't really like to call them my fans. I came up with a name for them. I call them Royals, and where that came from was it came from like the court gestures back in the day, the entertainers. If you weren't royalty, you weren't going to have an entertainer at your house. You just wasn't going to. Peasants were not having entertainers at the house. The only people who could afford those things were the kings and queens, or they would force you. Like, right. So I want each person to feel like they're royalty because I'm performing for them. So back in the day, they all can afford to have that. And I think that you all can afford to have entertainment and deserve to have entertainment as royalty did. So I call them my royals, and I don't like the way the fans, I don't like how that sounds, even though that's, you know, what they are. I'll call them supporters, royals, you know, but they're the reason why I keep doing what I'm doing, because when I started out, my parents, they were not for it. They, you know, they didn't support me. My mom just last year told me she was proud of me for the first time. So like, I don't want people to think that my family was the reason that I kept going, but it was truly because of you guys. It was really because of all of you and the love that you had for it. I mean, if I was doing tricks for 2 years and you guys were like, that kind of sucks, then I think I would have quit. But you guys always loved it. You always loved the new stuff that I came out with. And the goal at the end of the tunnel really is fame. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, whether you believe in God or not, or that gods exist, we see them every day. Gods are Ariana Grande, Michael Jackson, and anyone who disagrees with that, I just want you to look at the facts, because Michael Jackson's a great example of it. I remember there was he popped up out of the stage, because you know they have those little things, platforms. He popped up out of the stage and he stood up straight and he looked to like his left and he just stood there for a minute straight. And he sent so many people in the hospital. So many people fainted. So many people started heaving and seizuring because he wouldn't move.
Right.
He was just standing still, looking into the crowd. And if that's not a god, I don't know. I don't really know what you would refer to a god as. I mean, they even said, I think it was the Travis Scott incident.
Yeah.
How, you know, people were saying like, oh, don't be mad at him. He couldn't have done anything. If I'm being honest, he could. He could have actually spreaded the audience like the Red Sea. Like how Moses did. He could have went like this and literally went like this, and they would have split.
Yeah, he could have.
Because, you know, he has the power to do that. Whether or not he was shocked or whatever, like, he didn't cause it to happen inadvertently, but he could have, once he realized what was going on, he could have actually ended it. And I don't know if he was aware that he had that power, or, you know.
I feel what you're saying, because I mean, even look at, I always talk about X on this fucking channel, because I even got the members only shit on. Fucking like even the way he controlled the crowd, or like even the way that you're talking about the relationship that you have with your fans. Like when I'm performing, I like to, if I can, be in with the crowd and like be a part of that. We're really soaking up the energy of the crowd, so I feel where you're coming from.
And just realize that you're nothing without them. Not in the sense where it's like, oh my gosh, you're like nothing, but I mean like your fame and your power and everything you get, like Doja Cat right now, what she's doing, I disagree with. I don't know if you've heard what's going on with her, but she's being very rude and disrespectful to her fans, and maybe she might be tired of them. She might be tired of them being up her butt, stuff like that, but that's what you signed up for.
Right.
And so you have to be respectful to them, because one, they pay your bills. They give you the fame. Like MagicMan isn't known because I'm going around telling people. Like I do sometimes, but now I don't really have to do it anymore.
Right.
Because my people, they do it for me. You know, when someone who's a fan or a Royals or a follower here of mine, and they go visit Boston, they talk about me in Boston. They talk about me in New York, talk about me, you know what I mean? So they're the ones that are helping you spread, and you have to be respectful of them, and you have to love them, and you have to treat them like they pay your bills, because they do.
Word of mouth is powerful.
Yes.
Like, it is a really small world. Like the longer I do like all this, everything that I do, like, I've realized how everything is just interconnected. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. And networking, that's so important. One thing I have to say about networking, and this is one that I came up with. I actually stole it from the British, how they invaded America. I call it attacking them by land and by sea. And what that means is attacking them by land is making sure that you're going to places. Every event you hear about, you make sure you show face. If you go into restaurants, you're going to places, you're going to charity events, they're seeing, feeling you, enjoying you physically. But the places where you can't be, you're hitting them by sea. Because that means, like, word of mouth, or you're on social media. Like right now, I'm in this room in Manchester with you, but because I posted something on social media, I'm probably in China. I'm probably in Vegas. I'm in all these different places at once. So I'm now hitting them by sea and physically by land right now. So hitting them by land and by sea, that's what I mean by that. And then you have to really be your biggest fan first. Because if you don't like you and you don't like what you're putting out, why should anybody else do it?
I agree 100%.
You know? So, and one thing I wear like this tracksuit that says MagicMan Entertainment behind it, but it also has a QR code.
That's gangster.
It's got a QR code on the back. So if I have my business cards and I'm passing out my business cards, or I missed my business cards, I'm a walking business card.
That's
myself.
what I was gonna do with my merch. I've heard of that before.
You should. It's a walking business card, and you always see me wear red. And the reason why I wear red is it is a tribute to Michael Jackson, a Thriller, actually, because I love his Michael Jackson Thriller outfit.
That's so funny.
Because I grew up with Michael Jackson. I love him. I idolize him. And I think that he was a magician. You could tell because, one, the lean that he would do, that's actually a trick that magicians do, but we don't lean, we sit. He actually used it in a different way. So I don't know if you've ever seen a magician sit on an invisible chair.
Oh, yeah.
But that mechanism that's used to do that, that's the same thing Michael Jackson used, except he used it to go forward and stay that way.
Interesting.
And so it was a really cool thing. And he also knew how to create emotions. Like he had gangsters from different hoods and things like that come together to enjoy his music, different races. I mean, I'm telling you that there were literally people who were extremely racist who were jamming out next to people who were the race that they were opposite of, jamming out to his music, holding hands. Like, if that's not a magician, if that's not a god, I honestly don't know what is.
He transcended life itself. He
did, and he talked a lot about things that were real, like, What About Us, or the Earth song, all that stuff. He was talking about the Earth. He was really smart and really innovative. But that's the reason why I wear red and stuff like that. And it's a good color. It's bright. It can catch people's eyes. I wore like a red trench coat one time on Elm Street just performing. And somebody came out of the Thirsty Moose. They saw me. They came out of the Thirsty Moose in the restaurant and said, "I love your jacket. Here's a business card." So they came to me. You know what I mean? And so I learned all those techniques, but I didn't go to business school and I didn't go to college. This is all just trying things out and doing it and living that life and then learning, And I always say that if you have a problem with hustling, you've never had to do it. Hustlers aren't bad people. I think a lot of people, when they think hustler, they think of like drug dealers, they think of like
it's just someone with a mindset who wants to go get what they want.
Yes.
Or what they need.
And I never some of the people that I know, they hate people who've been given things to them, but you have to realize, like, maybe their parents were in a different position. Maybe, things just happened where, like my mom, she had me at a young age. She had me at 18. Like, you think she was going to be Bill Gates? Like, no.
Right, exactly.
So that was the decision that was made, and she had to do what she had to do, right, to deal with it. So I don't get mad at people like, oh, those people, they have everything handed. Mommy and daddy handed everything to them. Good for them. I'm just going to have to work extra hard to get what they have. I know that. And I mean, be friends with them. Be friends with them, and then be friends with their parents, because their parents are making the money. And what I find interesting as a networking skill, too, is that when you're friends with somebody, you meet their parents, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
If their parents are the breadwinners, then you sit down at that dinner table and say, "Hey, Mrs. So-and-so. Hey, Mr. So-and-so. I'm no fool. I see you have a beautiful home. I want to have that when I'm older. How did you get there?" They love to have the conversation because their bratty kid just takes money. They don't want to be in the family business. They don't want to do work. but the parents want their kid to do that. So you offer to be their kid, they're going to love it. They're going to eat it up. So they're going to grab you and mentor you and make sure you get that car. Make sure you get that house. So these are little skills.
All right, we back. So I was just asking you, what are some of your favorite Michael Jackson songs?
My favorite, oh my gosh. Well, Smooth Criminal, definitely.
Okay.
You Rock My World. I love it because Chris Tucker's in it, and I love Chris Tucker. They were like closest friends. Ooh, my goodness. Ghost, definitely. Thriller. Speed Demon. Speed Demon is so good. In the video, the music video for it is amazing. And those are really my top ones. I mean, the other ones are great. There's some honorable mentions like Black and White. Like, you know, that one's good. Man in the Mirror is good for karaoke, I think. If I hear Man in the Mirror too many times, I don't want to hear it ever again. But yeah, so I think those are some good ones.
Do you ever see yourself, because I know you're working on a movie, and so do you ever see yourself taking inspiration from some of those music videos and incorporating that into anything?
Yeah, so when I look at Michael Jackson and I look at a lot of the music videos and stuff like that, I like it to be, the movie that I want to create about me is like, because I don't know how long I have on this earth. You know, I really don't. And I think that I hate when older people say, like, you know, someone who's like 45 will look at us and be like, oh, you have time. Well, you don't know that. You don't know that. So I want, like, I'm even working on making a MagicMan museum. I already have like some stuff to put in glass cases for a MagicMan museum. And people may think like, oh, well, you know, you're not even dead yet or whatever. You're not old enough. You don't have a big enough career. But I want to be ready for that, so that when I hit, I can already have the museum. I could already have the movie and stuff like that. And this movie the idea is it's more like a documentary of how I got there, because not many people know how I got to where I am now. And I'm afraid that a lot of people are looking at the things I'm doing, going to Cali, doing all this stuff, and they're like, oh, it's handed to him. Oh, you know, his parents are rich or stuff like that. I don't want them to think that, because I want people to know you can come from anything. That, you know, I've made mistakes in my past. You know, I've had a run-in with the law and things like that. And now, I mean, I have a really good relationship with all the police officers in Manchester. I actually did an internship with them for 2 weeks. So I was on cases and things like that. Because I did want to be a consultant, like a magic consultant, using trickery to catch criminals, which I think would be fun. And I would only do it for fun. Like, cool. I didn't ever have like a dream of being a police officer, and it just didn't work out. But no, it's like, oh, what can I do in my free time? Right, like, you know, so it'd be something like that where it would be like me taking it half serious and still catching the criminals. And so it's something that I think would be fun. But yeah, I would love to have a documentary. I would love to have a museum. I would love to have all these things. And me, I never think small. I can't. I really, you know, if you told me to think, okay, Sean, in the next 5 years, you know, what are you doing? I'm going to the Met Gala. Like, no, Deshaun, no. In the next 5 years, I'm like, the Met Gala. Like, that's what I'm doing. You know, so I always think big. And I think big in short term. And, you know, so I have to be careful with that, because if I don't meet that goal, that crazy goal by the end of, like, the week, you know, I get disappointed. But
nah, it seems like you got a good mindset for everything, bro. You got a trajectory. You got everything, bro. That's really inspirational. I can see why you became a motivational speaker. So if you want to plug anything, bro, we going to wrap it up. I appreciate you for coming out here, bro. I appreciate it a lot.
I'll show you something. So there's a magician, right? Okay. His name is Richard Turner. All right. Richard Turner is actually a blind magician. He was starting to lose his sight, though. He wasn't born with it, but he was born with something that causes him to lose it. And so I'm going to do something for you here. So I'm actually going to give the deck a shuffle. Okay. And then I'm going to give it a cut. And what I want you to do is I want you to just make 4 piles. Okay? Okay. So I just want you to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just keep doing that. And I'm going to keep my eyes closed, because technically I'd be Richard Turner in this. And Richard Turner is an amazing magician, but one thing he does not like is he does not like to be called the blind magician. He does not identify as blind at all. He can look at you and have a conversation and look at the audience, and you would never know he's blind. You can keep going. You can put 4 on top of 1, 5. Just make sure there's 4 separate piles. And let me know when you're done, because I'm blind.
Gotcha.
So. All right, you got it? So is this? Yeah, the whole deck.
Oh, the whole deck.
Yeah. The whole deck. Yeah.
My fault.
Yeah, you can even take some. You can even take more. You can take more and put them on. It doesn't have to be one by one.
Okay.
All right. Now, what I'm going to ask from you is I'm going to find a 4 of a kind. let's say kings, right? Because I feel like aces are always overdone, yeah?
Yep.
So I'm going to find the 4 kings, but when I show you the 4 kings, I don't want you to say anything. If I get them right or wrong, okay?
Okay.
I don't want you to say anything. Because Richard Turner would not have that type of help. Let me know. All right, I'm going to close my eyes now. Can you put them together so that I can grab them when...
I got you.
All right. Now, I believe, if I just give this a shuffle like this, I believe the top card should be the king. Don't say anything if it is or it isn't. I want to be surprised too. I'm going to put that over here. Okay? Now, can you hold this deck?
Yep.
Can you hand me another deck?
Yep.
Now, normally, he's actually better blind than I am. He wouldn't need your help. But I'm not blind. So, that's not it. No, that's not. Maybe if I just give it a shuffle like this, I believe this card should be the king. Yeah, okay, I'm confident. I'm confident. Don't laugh at me if I'm getting it wrong. All right, so that's going to be here. Can you hold that for me, please? Yep. And then can I have the next one?
Yep.
All right. And mind you, he's blind doing this, the entire time. And then I would shuffle like this. And I believe I'm confident enough to say that's the card. Yep, that's definitely a king. All right, can you hold this for me, please? And can I have the last one? So this is the last one, yeah?
Yeah, this is the last one.
All right, so this is going to be absolutely, I think, hold on. Maybe if I should be this card right here, yeah? All right, I'll put that here. Now, what's amazing about Richard Turner, right? Did I get them right?
Can we look at them?
Did I get them? Did I get the 4 kings right?
Nah, not all of them.
Are you serious?
Yeah, nah.
You saying I didn't get all
What?
the kings?
Are you fucking... Nah, you peeped that, right? Because those weren't the kings prior. Nah, ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit?
So
this
that's
is what
my
our
ending.
decks, too. This ain't even his deck. He didn't bring this. He didn't bring this. We just had this on
So
deck.
I love this.
Ain't that some shit?
I love this trick because in reality,
Yeah.
the ending for Richard Turner's trick is realizing he's blind. He's doing this entire thing blind. Because I'm not blind and I told you I was blind beforehand, that's my version of it. So this is a tribute to Richard Turner. And the reason why I love Richard Turner so much, not even that he's blind, it's his dedication. There was a story that I heard that he would be working out and he would be shuffling a deck of cards. His wife's best friend told a story that they were making love. Richard Turner and his wife were making love, and all of a sudden she heard from playing cards. He was having sex and shuffling cards at the same time.
Gangster.
He does not quit. When he goes to the doctors, he brings a deck of cards. He is never and to be honest, I'm not even like that. I am not even that dedicated. I am, but not as much as Turner. So.
God damn, bro. Yo, I respect that. I respect the fuck out of it, bro. I respect how you moving too, bro. Shit. We gonna wrap it up here. Smoking with Suits all, bro. You already know I got songs out all the damn time. Plug anything you want to plug, my man.
Yeah, no, you can find me at MagicMan1776 on Instagram, on TikTok, and if you want, you can look me up on Google, DA, capital SEAN, Green, GREENE, and my name will pop up, and you'll get to see my website and everything. So
that's what's up. Y'all stay safe. Uplift yourself.
Definitely. This is amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you, bro.
Thank you. I have no idea how I did this. This was crazy.
That's fucking crazy, bro.
Awesome.
I'm so...